4 times that the change cannot come from ministers of education. But I tell you what we can do, and that's what we try to do. And that's about the question, what we need, what we can do. And you give the answer, let's go to the elementary school. And I say, okay, that can be. But, or you ask before it's who can bring the change. So our answer that we give, now we sit a lot of hours in the nights and think what we can do in the education system in Israel. We say that we don't know. And we need to give, or if we know, people that can bring the change, they can bring the change. And that can be children, teachers, administrators, people in the city, everywhere. So what we need to do, and that's what we try to do, is give an open space to a lot of projects and different kinds, and that I don't, and a lot of time also from a totally different perspective to try to grow up in the field. And see what will grow up.
What will come back.
And the answer, it's a very interesting question about the parents, because you ask how parents can be involved. So, and you're right about if we build a lot of alternative schools in Israel, very few people want to go to alternative school. But if you make a radical change inside the school that exists in the neighborhood, something, and you involve them that they are the lead this revolution, new thing happen. So about the question that you asked, I think it can come from everywhere. We need to build it. And now we go to the challenge that we did. And I think the challenge is that really we have a good platform to use these rooms that you call soul. And I want to, first of all, more clarify that what you are talking. You talk about a room, big area, that children can be there alone, and it will open some Skype computers, and then I understand that you give them a challenge.
You give them a challenge and a physical condition which is extremely important. Large, publicly visible screens. Walls should be of glass. So everything you do on your computer, you know that anyone behind you can see. Just think of your own self and think that if you were in that condition, what you do on the computer will be quite different from what you do otherwise.
Okay.
You know, it's automatic.
So then people can connect children can connect to one another.
They can connect to one another, they can walk around, they can look at each other's work, they can talk to that figure, the Skyped in figure on the wall, who is actually doing nothing, is just watching.
I have a question. I think it's been a question that's been raised here a lot about the role of social justice education and whether that plays a component, and I'm just curious if the students, I think the examples I've seen from your videos and stuff are mostly scientific kind of explorations with students, and so I just wondered if you thought about that component.
Yeah, I have. It's interesting what you say about the videos, because there's a reason why the videos mostly focus on scientific stuff. It's because when I started out, most of the people that I had to talk to were from developing countries. And in developing countries, they're very interested in children learning science. So I got it. So I have a whole bunch of videos which I don't show, which would make a lot more sense here to this audience. I'll give you just one example. Very recently, I went to an English school, and there was a newspaper journalist who wanted to see what a self-organized learning session is like. So I said, okay, I'll do one for you. And I'll do an honest-to-goodness one, because I'll go to this school unannounced, practically unannounced, so that I have no idea who they are going to present to. So I went there and said, give me a bunch of children. So we got a whole room full of 12-year-olds. Then I asked them, if I hadn't come, what would you have done instead? And I was keeping my fingers crossed and I hope it's science, I hope it's science. And they said art. So I said, gosh. So I said, what about art? And their art teacher was there. I said, what would you have done if I hadn't come? And he said, I would have done the role of light and shade in Cézanne's watercolors, still life watercolors. With that I began my soul. So I told the children, look, this is an experiment. I have come to discuss something that I don't know anything about. I've just heard 3 or 4 words for the first time in my life. One is Cézanne, second is still life watercolor, and the third is light and shade. That one I understand. So, do you guys know anything more about this? So they said, no, not a clue. So I said, okay, get on with it then. And you know, the method is that I shut down lots of computers so that there is just a few computers, they have to cluster, they have to talk to each other. So they start. Now the art teacher says to me, he doesn't believe in my method at all, okay? He says to me, shouldn't we tell him how to at least spell Cézanne because they are Googling Susan. So I said, in my method, we're not supposed to tell him. Because of a very simple reason, that I don't know how to spell it. So, and while I'm saying this, back in the corner appears the right spelling, C-Z-A, and so on. So, and then this art teacher said, well, they seem to have got it anyway. So, exactly. So, you know what he would have done in the conventional system? Even a good teacher would have said, look, boys and girls, it's actually spelled like this. And you kill the soul immediately. So they found the word Cézanne. Then a bunch of girls start to work on one corner and said he was an inspiration. Because nobody thought that a bowl of fruit could be drawn and that would be a profession. But young people started to follow Cézanne and they started to make these watercolors. And what about light and shade? And a group of little boys from the other corner said, oh, he used light and shade to make them 3D. So they got everything in about 25 minutes flat. From whom? From a teacher who had never heard of Cézanne, myself. Okay. So it worked out to be a great soul, and I did film it. It's a long answer to a short question, but the thing is, it does work in art, it works in ethics. I would go about that far. The places where the internet is full of junk. Yeah. There are places where the internet contains a lot of junk, but then don't follow the urban legend that people say internet is full of misinformation and junk. It's not true. I run a class where I give them as an assignment. I tell them the internet is full of junk. So most of the years that these are postgraduate students. Yes. So I said, okay, I'll give you 15 minutes. Find me one. You'll be surprised how hard it is to find, which is pure junk. The only place where you find pure junk is in 2 subjects, religion and politics. So I tell the children that. I said, just avoid these 2 subjects because they're full of junk. But the rest of it, it's mostly accurate. Wikipedia and so on. So you can do a soul on almost anything. I did another one on alternative medicine. This teacher called me up and said, I have to do alternative medicine. Like homeopathy and all that. And she said, it's such a boring subject. I don't know what to do. What question shall I ask them? So I told her, you ask them, can you kill a goat by staring at it? So, firstly, the 12-year-olds, she calls me up sometimes, all these 12-year-olds, they're saying, Mrs. Dickinson's gone mad. So I said, that's good, that's pretty healthy stuff. And then they started working, and then they said, about superstition, and about the fact that people often believe things without evidence. And it led into alternative medicine. So that's the spirit of the education I'm talking about. And one last bit is, okay, in fact, I want to ask you that. We have this thing called the code. And all of us believe that there are certain things that children must know. I'm purposely not saying must be taught. I'm saying they must know. And that's the code. And most governments agree on the code. It's literacy and numeracy. So literacy means they should learn how to read and understand. Perfectly good, because this generation is going to spend their whole lives reading of things. They must know how to write, perfectly understandable. they must spell correctly. Not so very understandable to me. Because what's wrong with writing how are you? If you've got a little gadget on which you can barely see the keyboard, why must they write the full sentence? You know? So I used to get very irritated at first. I said, what kind of language is this? And then I realized, but I mean, they're not doing it just for fun. They're doing it because of a practical reason that they had to. We gave them, this generation gave them a device that was so clutchy that these poor blokes had to create a whole new language in order to use it. And they did a marvelous job with that, of conveying emotion with apostrophes and commas. And instead of saying that's jolly good, we go around telling them not to do it. How silly can that be? So spelling, I don't know, I just got into a lot of trouble because of an article in the Telegraph in UK where I said, let's not waste time teaching them how to spell because their phones are telling them how to spell. And I got butchered. So, do you mean to say, and people translated that to, do you mean to say that children should grow up without knowing any language? So where am I saying that? I'm only saying don't teach them spelling because he's misspelled it once. The machine will correct it. He'll misspell it the second time, the machine will correct it. The third time he won't misspell it for heaven's sake. So he just learn it anyway. I haven't said it yet, but I will. In one of the newspaper guys next, is to say the same thing can happen with arithmetic. If only you say, we're going to stop teaching arithmetic, you've got cell phones, you do it yourself. Okay? I might say, they're going to be, intellectually morons by the time they're 30. Let me assure you, nothing of the sort will happen. If a child of age 6 starts to do arithmetic with his mobile phone, by the time he's 10 years old, he'll know his times tables, he'll know what adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing means. He'll know the whole lot that little machine could have told him. So, if you use it, there's no harm in Googling things. We Google things all the time. But you normally don't Google the same thing twice. Why? Because when you Google it once, you learn it. So you don't need to Google it the second time. Googling is a method of continuously teaching yourself things. What do we do with children? We tell them don't do it. Okay? Don't learn all the time, guys. So I don't understand the sense of that either.
Hablo español. Estoy de acuerdo en que es en la primaria donde se pueden hacer los cambios, pero en la experiencia trabajando con maestros es que los encuentro como el resultado de una sociedad que los ha matado, como personas, como ciudadanos y como maestros.
Absolutely. That's a very good point.
Entonces cuando uno viene y hace el sistema al revés, o sea, recupera la dignidad de la persona y su autoestima, el respeto por él y por sus niños, y por sus maestros, el maestro resucita, y entonces puede impactar una nueva escuela.
Well, yes, I mean, that problem sort of exists all across.
Could we just say the question really quick?
Okay, her question was that, yes, you can make a change like this because it makes sense what I'm saying, but when you actually go to a school, you find that the spirit of the teacher has been dulled down by the system to a point where she doesn't want to do anything different. So where do you start? And I've faced this problem. It's an endemic problem in India. Okay, in rural India, the school teachers. I've even heard teachers listen to a thing like this quite patiently, and at the end of it, I say, "Well, what do you think?" She said, "Will I get paid more to do this?" So I said, "Well, that's it. That's the end of the matter." So why do they say that? You know, why do they say that? Because the school teacher's role in society, particularly the elementary school teacher, has somehow denigrated to a babysitter. I don't know why and where it happened, but except for a few parents who know what they're talking about, to the bulk of the parents, if he's sending his 3-year-old daughter to school just to keep her busy. Oh, she'll be playing around and so on. The status of the school teaching profession